You know the story, right? It's a scene we see everywhere, every single year. But what if I told you there's way more to the story of the wise men than just some familiar figures in a nativity scene? We're talking about a powerful story of seeking, of an incredible revelation, and honestly, a whole lot of courage.
So let's dive right in. We all had this image of three kings on camels, but the original story is, well, it's a lot more mysterious, and frankly, way more fascinating. You should think of it less like a fairy tale and more like an epic, ancient quest. Okay, so our story kicks off not with kings, but with a group of seekers. And it all starts with this extraordinary, mysterious sign up in the heavens that launches a journey that would literally change the world.
So, picture this. The scene is Judea, and it's basically under the thumb of King Herod, a pretty ruthless ruler who was put in charge by Rome. The whole place is a political tinderbox. And right into the middle of all that tension, these mysterious travelers from the east just show up.
Now, these guys weren't just some casual stargazers. No way. They were magi. And that term, it literally means powerful. They probably came from Persia. And back then, what they did, studying astronomy and astrology, was considered a serious science. These were scholars, searching for truth that was written in the cosmos.
So when this one particular star appears, they knew. They knew it was a huge deal. See, in the ancient world, people absolutely believed that major events up in the sky signaled the births of world-changing leaders. So for them, this star was like their guide, a kind of divine GPS, pointing them towards something absolutely monumental. But here's where things get complicated. Their quest for a newborn king leads them right to the front door of an old and frankly super paranoid one. And once they get to Jerusalem, their entire search takes a very, very dangerous turn. I mean, can you even imagine walking into the capital and asking this question? It's so direct, so politically explosive. You're basically issuing a direct challenge to the man on the throne. They weren't just asking for directions. They were announcing that a rival king had arrived.
And this is where the story gets so interesting, because you've got this huge contrast. On one side, you have King Herod. He's all about earthly power, right? Appointed by Rome, ruling from a palace, known for being totally ruthless. And then you have this newborn king, anointed by God, born in a simple house, and destined to be a shepherd to his people. It's a complete clash of two totally different ideas of what it means to be a king.
So how does Herod react? With pure, absolute fear. The news that there's a potential rival, a true king of the Jews, sends this shockwave of terror through him and, well, all of Jerusalem along with him. So Herod completely panics. He calls in his own experts, the scribes, and they end up confirming his absolute worst fears. They point him to this ancient prophecy from the book of Micah, and guess what? It names the exact birthplace of the Messiah, the small, humble town of Bethlehem. And this is the really crucial part, Herod's deception. He plays it cool. He says, "Go and search carefully, and when you've found him, bring me word so that I can come and pay him homage too." But of course, his real plan is much more sinister. He's trying to use the Magi as his personal spies to set a deadly trap. All right, so the Magi get out of that dark, tense palace and they continue on their journey. And what happens next? This is the moment. This is when their long, long search finally comes to a spectacular end. And just like that, their divine guide is back. The same star they first saw way back in the east reappears, and it leads them those last 6 miles or so, not just to the town of Bethlehem, but to one specific house.
And the feeling, you can just feel the emotional peak of their entire quest right here. The text doesn't just say they were happy, it says they were overwhelmed with joy. Can you imagine? That's just a pure, incredible moment of discovery.
And in this context, joy is so much more than just an emotion. It's a much deeper concept. It's this profound sense of fulfillment that comes from God. It's the feeling you get when a divine promise has actually been kept. Their whole journey, all that searching, it wasn't in vain. This very moment of revelation is what the whole celebration of the Epiphany is about. The word epiphany literally means an appearing or to be shown. It marks the moment that Jesus was revealed not just to his own people, but to these outsiders, these foreigners from the East, which signifies that his message was meant for all of humanity. So, having found the one they were searching for, the Magi complete their mission, first with an act of worship, and then by presenting their famous and incredibly symbolic gifts.
And their response is immediate.
They don't just greet him, they go into the house, and they kneel and pay him homage. Now, this is a big deal. It wasn't just showing respect for a royal baby. This was an act of worship, a recognition that this child was exactly what the prophecy said he would be, God with us. And those gifts, they're just packed with so much meaning. Let's break it down. You've got gold, that's a gift for a king, right? It recognizes his royalty. Then there's frankincense, an incense used in temple worship. So that's a gift for a deity, for God. And finally, myrrh, which was an anointing oil used in burials. It's this really poignant gift for a mortal, foreshadowing his humanity and sacrifice. So together, these gifts tell a whole story: king, God, and mortal man. But their story isn't quite over. They get one last divine message, a warning in a dream. And because of it, they wisely sidestep Herod's trap. They don't go back to Jerusalem. Instead, they just head home by a different route. Their mission complete and the secret of the newborn king safe. It's pretty amazing when you think about it. That single journey from over 2,000 years ago has left this incredible mark on our culture. The story has just grown and evolved over the centuries, showing up in art, tradition, and, of course, in song. You know, the original text is pretty sparse on the details, so tradition kind of filled in the gaps. We start seeing depictions of them in art around the 3rd century. Then, a famous 6th century mosaic in Ravenna, Italy, is what gives us their traditional names: Balthasar, Melchior, and Gaspar. And get this, the whole idea of them being kings, that really didn't enter the popular imagination until the Christmas carol We Three Kings came out in 1857. So, what's one of the most powerful takeaways from all this? I think it's this. The very first people to recognize and worship this new king weren't the religious authorities or the powerful political insiders in Jerusalem. They were foreigners, outsiders. They were simply seekers who were willing to follow the evidence they were given. It really leaves us with a fascinating question, doesn't it? These ancient astronomers followed a light in the sky on a quest for truth. They weren't afraid to ask dangerous questions or travel into the unknown to find it. So it makes you wonder, what does their journey challenge us to seek in our own lives? And what lights are we willing to follow?